Hey everyone, PTL here. I'm actually experimenting. I'm out on my back porch and I am experimenting in setting up my Zpacks tent on the porch. It's actually going to be a cold night tonight, so I may try sleeping out here tonight. Right now it's about 33 degrees Fahrenheit. It's supposed to go down to the 20s, probably wind chill around 22 at the low tonight. So a good night to try out my gear. So one thing I'm doing though is I figured out that I have these MSR groundhog stakes, and what I'm doing, they have a little string on them. I'm tying my lines for my tent onto the stake, and then as you can see, I'm just dropping them down through the slats on my deck, which is like a platform. As I tighten up the tent, I'm hoping the tension will keep them there. The tying off to the tent, to the groundhog string, will keep them from falling through. Not sure yet how that's going to work on my pole lines, but I'm giving it a try. So I'm going to work on it and I'll let you know how it goes. Okay, so I have the tent set up on the back porch. Most of the stakes, the four corners and the two sides, I have pushed down in the slats on the deck, and on the two pullouts on the side, I have a stone on this side, and I just used a log on the other side just to put it over. Again, it's not perfect. It's not perfectly squared. The corners are a little far in, not the way I like them, but you know, if I need to set up on a platform, this will work. You can see, again, the stake is just sticking out of the boards a little bit. I have it tied off to the guy rope. This one's sticking up a little bit high, but I think it'll hold for the night. And again, on the pullouts on the sides, usually I use these silver stakes that are a little bigger and stronger on my end poles, but on a deck like this, this will work. That stone is just to keep it from pulling out. You can see they're on a little bit of an angle, some of them, but I think there's enough tension on them that they'll hold. Again, the two end ones for the doors are up a little higher than I'd like, but that's from the tension. It wants to lift them up out of there, but again, there's enough tension, I think, at that point that it's gonna hold. It's pretty tight. Hey everyone, PTL's back. So I've got my tent set up and I went in and actually changed. It's kind of not exactly the same doing it here on the porch because I'm able to go in and out as I was experimenting setting up the tent, and I had some other clothes on, but I've changed out into gear I'll be wearing on the trail. I've got my polypropylene long sleeve shirt on. I've got my Patagonia hoodie, as well as my North Face hat, beanie. And then I put on my Under Armour leggings, as well as a pair of shorts over those. I've got a pair of darn tough socks on, and I'll probably get my sealskin socks in case it gets cold to put over them if I need it, as well as my puffy. And hopefully that'll keep me warm tonight. Again, I'll be in my mummy sleeping bag. I've got an REI sleeping bag, as well as a silk liner to go inside of it. So that's what I'm going to be using tonight. Temperature again will be down to about 22 with the wind chill. I think it's 26 Fahrenheit. Again, with the wind chill a little colder. So up on the deck, it should be nice and cold because I got the breeze going under the deck. Deck's pretty high up and there's a little bit of a breeze tonight. So good test of the gear. Praise the Lord. I'm out in the tent. I got out here a little later than I expected. It's probably about 9:30 in the evening. As you can see my breath. It's pretty cold. So we'll see if I can make it through the night. Again, I'm in my REI sleeping bag. I have the Cocoon silk liner, which gives me a little extra warmth. Climb in and hopefully stay warm for the night. Have a good night. Good morning, everyone.
I made it through the night. It was definitely cold last night. I did pretty good. Most of the night I slept without my puffy on. And, I could feel it a little bit in my feet. I found that sleeping on my back, I was colder than sleeping on my sides. I tend to toss and turn a lot. I roll from side to side. So sleeping on my sides, I was pretty warm. Early hours when it got down around 22, I got up and put the puffy on. That gave my upper body, the core, some more warmth, and it was good. So I'm not sure I'm satisfied with the sleeping bag. I may try it a few more times in the cold and see how it goes. I'll try again. I'll give it a few more nights. I may do a little more backpacking in the cold and give this gear a little more workout. And yes, that is ice on the outer edge of my sleeping bag. And also in the corner of the tent there. And there's some frosty stuff on the tent. All that condensation catches on the tent and it froze up. Once again, good morning, everyone. I just wanted to go over my setup one more time. Now that it's light out, I have a time to think about last night. Again, here's one of the stakes tied to the guy rope. You got a little string on the groundhog stake. That keeps it from dropping through the slats in the deck. The slats here are pretty wide, so I'm able to drop this stake down in between. Normally, the stake would be farther back in this direction, maybe, out over here versus way over here. Because of the tension, the stake actually slides this way, and so it's a little more square than it should be, instead of diagonally across from the other stake. But that's all right. Once it's here, you can see there's a lot of tension on the stake from tightening the ropes down. Same thing on the ones on my poles. The stake is tied off to the guy line. It's pulling up because of the tension coming from the pole up here, pulling up on it. So they actually pulled up a little bit, but that's, once it gets up, to this height, there's enough tension on here that this isn't going anywhere, so that's pretty good and solid. Same on the other ones. Then on the ones that pull out, there's nothing really holding this stake down, but by putting a rock here or on the other side the log, the tension is holding it in place. I guess the stake is wide enough to hold it in, but that's pretty solid in there. It's not going anywhere. So that gives me enough tension to pull on the guy wire. So I was pretty happy with this setup using the stakes, and I'm pretty comfortable that I could actually set my non-freestanding Zpacks tent up on a platform. So that worked pretty well. As far as the cold, as you could see from my pictures earlier, I still have my sleeping bag and liner in there, as well as my pad. It was definitely very cold. You could see the frost in the morning from my breath, the condensation on the outside of my sleeping bag and the inside of the tent froze up a little bit. I mentioned that I did get a little cold, but when I'm thinking about it now that I've been up for a little while, it wasn't that bad. I do tend to wake up a lot and toss and turn, so I noticed the cold a little bit, but if I didn't put on my sealskin socks, I think if I added those to my feet, or maybe I will get a couple of booties. Some of you use the down booties, so maybe I'll get a pair of those, and if I can keep my feet warm, then this setup would be fine. Again, I'm not leaving until earliest mid-March to early April, so I'll get some cold, but it won't be too bad. Hopefully not too many nights, and with this setup, I think I could endure those few cold nights and not have to get a heavier, warmer bag. So I think it'll work out.